The film starts when two twin young men named Samaritan and Foe are brought into the world in Stone City. The two young men are viewed as wonders since they have uncommon actual strength, like supernatural people. One day when they incidentally hurt a portion of the city's lawbreakers with their uncovered hands, the residents started to dread and felt that they could imperil their lives. Hence, one night all the residents assembled and consumed the twins' family home together, killing their folks. Fortunately, enemy and Samaritan made do to endure the fire. However, both have altogether different characters and values. Samaritan grew up as a kid who battled for equity and consistently secured the people who required help like a hero. In the interim, Adversary grew up with sensations of massive scorn. Wattsmore consistently held resentment against the residents who had killed his folks. Enemy expects to consume the whole town in a gigantic fire, so they all wipe the experiencing that his folks persevered. Prior to executing his arrangement, he understood his choice constrained him to battle against his twin sibling. Accordingly, he stepped up and make a solid iron mallet fashioned with contempt and outrage. That evening when he was going to explode the town's power plant and light a tremendous fire, Samaritan likewise came to forestall him, and the battle between the two was inescapable. In the fight between the siblings, Foe appeared to be prevalent on the grounds that he had an iron sledge, which professed to be the main weapon that could overcome Samaritan. The battle didn't keep going long since an unexpected fierce blast happened there and killed the two of them. In any case, many individuals accept that the Samaritan endured the blast and decided to live secluded from everything. This is since the police just tracked down a roasted body with Foe's wail after the fire episode. The scene changes to 25 years after the battle among Samaritan and Foe. A teen kid named Sam really loves the courageous and daring demonstrations of Samaritan many years prior. Throughout the last year, he has consistently thought some elderly person is Samaritan. The reputed Samaritan maid Dewey is yet alive today. One of the men Sam suspects to be Samaritan is Joe Smith, an old man who lives in the condo opposite his loft. Wattsmore right now functions as a repairman for broken hardware. Joe is really a detached man who is frequently alone and carries on with his regular routine as a trash collector in Rock City. Right now, Sam just lives with his mom, Tiffany, who functions as a medical caretaker at a clinic in the city. At some point, he experienced difficulty getting into his loft since his mom actually had not paid the month-to-month lease. So Sam chose to hang tight for his mom while drawing on the patio. While caught up with drawing, his male companion, Jesse, welcomes him to take a few soft drinks in a loop of copper wire in an old, long deserted loft. Since he really wanted cash, Sam acknowledged the greeting. Also, they quickly slipped into the loft that was their objective. In the wake of gathering the copper wires, Sam and Jesse attempt to offer them to a junkyard show to a man named Cyrus. Nonetheless, in light of the fact that he got very little cash, Sam had to acknowledge a task from one of Cyrus' men named Reza. That evening Sam is relegated to divert a retailer so Reza and the others can recover the case of lottery tickets. From the beginning, he appeared to be reluctant on the grounds that he had never done any such thing. Be that as it may, he decided to do it in light of the direness of his monetary circumstance. Sadly, after they succeeded take it, Reza and his companions took some unacceptable box. Reza, irritated, tossed the fault on Sam and wouldn't pay him. Hearing that, he furiously denied the allegations. Wattsmore requested that Reza give the cash, agreeing to their past understanding. Cyrus, who saw the occurrence, looked astounded and valued Sam's mental fortitude in giving the $200 to him. While seeing his book, Cyrus understands that Sam loves Samaritan, so he lets Sam know that he really loves one of the twins. Be that as it may, in contrast to him, Cyrus loves Foe since he imagines that Samaritan just safeguards the individuals who appreciate abundance over the enduring of poor people. At night, at the point when Sam returns, he sees his mom battling with the one who claims the condo over the neglected lease. He promptly gave over the cash from Cyrus to the one who possessed the rental so they could return into their loft. Subsequent to entering the room, his mom, Tiffany, promptly inquired where he could get the cash since she was stressed that he had taken the cash. Hearing that, Sam attempted to persuade her that he didn't take the cash and got it from selling some copper he tracked down out and about. The following day, Reza and his companions unexpectedly assault Sam since he needs to vindicate Sam for what occurred recently. Reza compromises him to give up the cash given by Cyrus yesterday, or probably they will pummel him almost to death. Realizing that Sam had no way out in any case, to run as quick as conceivable to escape their pursuit. At the point when Sam arrives at the loft yard, he is practically gotten and beaten by Reza and the others. Fortunately, Joe, who turned out to be there, figured out how to assist him with overcoming every one of them. Joe figured out how to rebuff and overcome them without exertion. Also, he was even ready to get Reza's blade without being damaged. That evening, Sam attempts to spy on Joe with a couple of optics and tracks down consumed notes all around Joe's back. This made him even more persuaded that Joe was the legend he had been searching for this time. The following day, Sam meets a male essayist named Albert, known to be a Samaritan fan since every one of the books he composed recount the account of Samaritan and enemy. For the most recent dozen years, Albert has attempted to assemble proof from different articles and papers to figure out the whereabouts of Samaritan, since he likewise accepts that Samaritan is yet alive. That day, Sam answered to Albert about his doubt that Joe, who lived opposite his condo, was Samaritan. Be that as it may, despite the fact that Sam had shown the blade that had been bowed by Joe, Albert still doesn't trust his words and requests that he accumulate more proof. Then again, Cyrus and his sweetheart, Sil, plan to take adversaries' cover at the police headquarters utilizing an exceptional power outage bomb. The bomb can make an enormous blast and cause all signs and electric flues to be off inside a certain span. After Cyrus' cohort, Farshad, wrapped up setting up their gear and weapons, they promptly raced to the police headquarters. They masked themselves as cops so that Rick could undoubtedly arrive at the entry. Subsequent to showing up at their objective, they tossed the power outage bomb into the watchman corner so they could switch off all correspondence signals and CCTV at the police headquarters. After they figured out how to break into the distribution center where all the proof was seized, they took Foe's Whale and Iron Hammer. Oddly, when Cyrus contacted the Iron Hammer, Joe abruptly felt something else, as though he was straightforwardly associated with the Iron Hammer. After effectively taking enemy's cover and Iron Mallet, Cyrus attempted to obliterate the Samaritan's cover, utilizing Foe's Iron Mallet. Furthermore, the occurrence again gave Joe a terrible inclination. The following day when Joe goes out, Sam slips into his home to see whether he is the Samaritan. Right away, Sam actually hasn't found anything dubious in Joe's home. Yet later he sees a section book loaded with articles about the chivalrous activities of Samaritans. He starts to accept that Joe is the Samaritan. Sam chooses to take the cutout book to show it to Albert later. What's more, validate that every one of his doubts have been. Sadly, not long from that point onward, Joe came to Sam's loft and let Tiffany know that Sam had taken his book. Hence, Sam had no other decision except for to return the book to him. The following day when Sam meets with Joe, he inquires why Joe is gathering such countless articles about Samaritan. Joe answered that he did that in light of the fact that he loved Samaritan like Sam. He denied Sam's doubts that Samaritan was as yet alive, since he was very certain that Samaritan had kicked the bucket in a fire quite a few years prior. In their discussion, Joe was unexpectedly hit by a vehicle that drives so quick that he was tossed onto the blacktop very hard. Incidentally, the vehicle was driven by Reza and his companions since they needed vengeance for how Joe treated them recently. Sam quickly attempted to move toward Joe and help him since he was certain no human could get by a hit like that. However, unusually, Joe made due to get back up and recuperate every one of the bones that had been squashed without any problem. Joe right away hurried to his condo to absorb his body ice water on the grounds that the recuperation interaction he encountered continuously created heat, causing his body to produce steam. Sam attempted to help by turning on the virus water, also getting ready frozen yogurt for Joe so he could recuperate. Subsequent to seeing the unusual episode, Sam, sure that Joe was Samaritan, quickly posed him numerous inquiries about Samaritan. He decided not to answer any of the questions and offered Sam some frozen yogurt in light of the fact that he wasn't keen on discussing all that. Then again, Cyrus began his arrangement to complete dread in the focal point of the city by exploding a few shops utilizing power outage bombs. From that point onward, he took the other city's bums into a back street and declared that he would begin a new unrest to return capacity to the powerless individuals. Everybody in the spot cheered uproariously and upheld what he did in light of the fact that they were taken care of up with the regional government, which had dismissed them in troublesome times. Back to Sam, who as of late began following Joe all over the place and asked us scarcely any inquiries regarding his enforced past. From the start, Joe felt awkward and upset by Sam, who kept talking him like a columnist since he had consistently lived calmly alone. Be that as it may, their relationship developed nearer over the long haul, and Joe started to become accustomed to Sam's presence in his life. He gradually opens up to Sam furthermore, needs to enlighten Sam regarding his blurring strength because of his age. The prior night they returned to their separate homes. He proposed to fix Sam's messed up watch as a badge of their kinship. The following day, Joe sees the news on TV broadcasting different instances of revolting and stealing from indifferent shops completed by somebody wearing an enemy cover. Seeing this, he felt stunned and furious on the grounds that another person had claimed to be enemy and committed different violations all through the city. In the early evening, when Joe met with Sam, he quickly asked Joe for help so he would show him how to battle and shield himself. After Sam got back from school, Joe took him to the condo's rooftop and polished a few maneuvers together. He appeared to be dazzled by Sam's exceptionally coordinated moves. Yet Sam actually needed to prepare his boldness and work on his actual strength. In the wake of preparing finished, Sam attempted to hit Joe and wound up harming himself since his body was extremely amazing. While Sam treats the injuries on his hands utilizing a portion of Joe's eyes, he begins talking about enemies passing. Sadly, it made Joe furious and insulted, so he requested that Sam return to his home. The following day, Cyrus got back to Sam furthermore, extended to him some employment opportunities that paid a considerable amount. That day, Sam was relegated to stand watch and motion toward him by whistling when the police came to the spot. Cyrus then, at that point, starts to convey out his schedules, like paying off some police officials and executing slippery officials. Sam, who saw all that, felt extremely terrified and planned to take off from that spot. Yet, when he was going to leave, he saw Jesse, who was being beaten by Reza furthermore, his companions. Sam had no real option except to battle with them to save Jesse, despite the fact that, eventually, he must be battered and broken due to being beaten by them. That evening, they took Sam, who had swooned powerlessly, to Sam's condo yard. At that point, Reza looked shocked since he understood that the elderly person he had hit prior was as yet alive and had no wounds. Joe quickly took Sam to the clinic and made sense of what had befallen him to Tiffany. Somewhere else, Reza and his posse right away moved towards Cyrus and informed him concerning Joe's power. Hearing this, Reza became intrigued by Joe and started requesting his men to carry him to their base camp. The following day, Farshad and the rest of Cyrus' men certainly followed Joe from behind. However, understanding that he was being followed, Joe started to take a different path and direct them all to a thin back street. He permits every one of the individuals from Cyrus to consider their choice since he could hurt them. In any case, since they misjudged Joe and disregarded his words, the battle between them was inescapable. In spite of the fact that he needs to battle a few individuals on the double, he can in any case overcome them alone. At the point when Farshad means to explode the spot with a power outage bomb, Joe promptly saved a young lady who nearly passed on there. His courageous activities were recorded by a few cell cameras having a place to inhabitants with the goal that his genuine way of life as a hero was practically uncovered. That evening, numerous media began to report about the appearance of Samaritan in Rock City and started partner it with the presence of adversaries some time prior. Joe, who needs to leave this dull life, means to 11 minutes leave Rock City and begin another life somewhere else. A couple of moments before Joe left, Sam out of nowhere moved toward him and informed him that Cyrus was intending to explode a bomb at the town's power plant. Sam convinces him to cooperate to stop Cyrus since Sam accepts that Joe is the as it were individual who can stop Cyrus. However, tragically, he will not do that and quickly throws Sam out of his loft. The following morning, Sam sneaked back into Joe's home to recover the watch that had been left with him. Matching with that, Cyrus and his men unexpectedly came to his loft. So Sam rushed to the house to caution his mom about Cyrus' appearance. Sadly, Cyrus and his group had shown up at Sam's loft before Sam also had the opportunity to get away. Cyrus promptly gets him and plans to involve him as snare to bait Joe into coming to his base camp. At night, all individuals from Cyrus and the city hooligans started to revolt by annihilating shops and public property as a dissent against the public authority. All cops were conveyed to get the city, while certain occupants decided to escape or move to another city. Exactly the same thing was finished by Joe, who is at present hanging tight for the appearance of the train at the city station to go to another city. At the point when his train was going to show up, he unexpectedly heard a caution sound which ended up being from Sam's watch, which he had carried with him unintentionally. Joe chooses to delay his flight and returns the watch to Sam. At the point when he showed up at Sam's loft, he was astounded by the muddled condition. He saw Tiffany, who fell limp due to being hit by a portion of Cyrus' men. Somewhere else, Cruz and his men seemed ready to do their arrangement by sending a few power outage bombs all through the city. Yet, before they could do all that, Joe had proactively hit them utilizing his dump truck. After effectively breaking into Cyrus' base camp forcibly, Joe started to assault them in an exceptionally legendary clash. After he meets Cyrus, Joe requests that he free Sam, and in return, he will have a one-on-one duel with Cyrus. In any case, Cyrus declined the proposition since he needed to embarrass Samaritan before many individuals by instructing him to duck. These words helped Joe to remember an episode in the past when he attempted to save his friend Sabine, who was, in all honesty, Samaritan. He then uncovers that he is really enemy and is the individual who used to be viewed as a criminal too. The inhabitants of the Stone City, hearing it, Cyrus looked amazed and could hardly imagine how the individual before him was for the individual he had loved up until this point. Soon after, an immense blast came from Joe's waist vehicle, in a flash killing a large portion of Cyrus' men. After that occurrence, Cyrus and Firsha promptly took Sam with them. They began going inside the base to initiate the power outage bombs they had planted at a few places in the city. In the interim, Joe was still fiercely all battling against Cyrus' excess men and in any event, killing them who planned to avoid utilizing the lift. From that point onward, he quickly pursued and killed Firsha utilizing a power outage bomb in Firsha's hand. After all the savage battling that Joe did, he at long last found Sam, who was caught in a fire. Be that as it may, when he was going to out of nowhere save Sam, Cyrus seemed wearing an enemy veil and right away hit him with enemy's iron sledge. In a second of emergency, Sam figures out how to draw near to Cyrus furthermore, assault him. So Joe gets an opportunity to go after him from behind and toss him straight into the fire. When Joe figured out how to overcome Cyrus, he quickly drove Sam to bounce into the following structure, to keep away from the blast that would happen in that place. From that point forward, Joe lets Sam know that he is in reality enemy, who has been known as a lawbreaker in the city. Since Samaritan's passing, he feels blameworthy and chooses to live calmly sequestered from everything. Presently, he requests that Sam assist him with fixing enemies' notoriety with the goal that folk will begin battling for equity in the city as another legend. It proves that each person has great and awful within them. Also, there is no way to change that. Yet, but we can always choose which way we will pick. At the point when the media correspondents showed up, Joe quickly hurried off and left. In the meantime, Sam starts to let the media know that now the genuine foe has returned and that enemy will start to save on the other hand safeguard the residents from evil. The film closes with Joe watching Sam from behind the group once more, beginning to stroll off in the other course. What Joe said in his last discourse is something we ought to gain from this film. Everybody in this world is great and terrible. However, which side we will take relies upon our singular choices.